I'm excited about this one, baby.
All right.
Oh, yes,
we're going to help somebody tonight.
We're going to help somebody tonight. Hey, look, the key to a successful marriage is a strong communication with your spouse. But when you feel disconnected, it can feel like you're living with a total stranger. Let's talk about that and much more here on this episode of Couples Pursuit Live.
Couples Pursuit.
Hello, this is Vincent.
And Valerie
Woodard. And on this episode of Couples Pursuit,
we're going to talk about 7 things that could ruin your relationship.
Yes. Like I said, I'm excited about it. The topic is heavy, but once I think that we realized this, that our issues that we were fighting about were not they were the symptoms.
Yeah.
Of a bigger problem, which was we lost
the
communication.
Root problem.
We lost communication with one another. And wow, when it hit me, I said, man, we have to talk about this topic. Because I think so many couples are really going through a situation where we're arguing about what we think is financial. We're arguing about the children. We're arguing about how we're not spending enough time together. We are whatever the symptom is.
Yeah. You changed.
Yeah. The root, it seems to me, it stems from that we lost connection with one another.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, even divorces can happen to divorces, I don't know that's a word, but that can happen to even the happiest of couples. You know. But the key is to knowing what to fix, what to engage in, and then to start working towards that, baby.
Yes, to be intentional about it. Because we have this idea that, we're in love, we get married, everything is just supposed to line up. Well, if you know anything about anything, if you've ever worked anywhere, you ever planned anything, if you had a wedding, if you were in charge of an event, if you've ever been in charge of someone's estate, if they passed away, if you just had a project, something that you wanted to do, you know that bumps come along in the road. And even when it's something that you desire to do, you have many obstacles. So I don't know why we think that when we get married, just because we have emotional, feelings for someone, that everything is going to be perfect, that they're always going to satisfy us, and that we are always going to be our best selves. We have to work on that.
And that's also the thing, because our best selves might not be the best way we should engage in our relationship in this marriage right here. Because once again, we talked about this before in earlier episodes, I thought I was being the best person that I thought I can be.
Right.
And realizing that, you know what, I have so much more to learn, so much more to know, so many ways to grow.
Yes,
but I was limiting to myself. I was capping.
You were like, no, this is it.
This is all I can give.
I'm grown. I'm working. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
I made it this long. How many years?
You can't get nothing else out of me. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't hang out. I'm good.
Yeah.
What's your problem?
You sure you don't have a problem?
What's your problem?
Wow.
Who's better? Who's better than me? Well, you never said that.
Was that bad, babe? Was that bad?
No, you're right. Well, you know what you did say.
I know
now.
what I did say.
What you say, baby?
I said, I'm a good man.
You did say that.
I look good. I'm a good man.
And I was like,
you got a catch.
You can be better.
She did. She was
That's how I felt. I didn't say that in so many words.
She would have.
Not in that moment, but I was taken aback.
Yeah.
I clutched my pearls, so to speak. Oh my. My.
They spread the hair like that.
Oh. Grab your collar. I had to get myself together after you told me that. Okay.
I thought you were going to say
we are supposed to be talking about something.
Okay.
I was like, this man, he done lost his whole entire mind. Lord, I'm going to need you to help him find it. I'm going to just go this way and think about that.
And look, that's why we are here to help someone.
We came back, y'all. We came back from the brink.
God is good all the time. And all
yes,
the time,
he is.
God is. And look, hopefully you will take something away from this episode that hopefully you can take with your marriage, to your spouse, and maybe something that you need to work on internally once we go through these 7 things. Because once you know them, you can avoid them. I believe so. So if you think that this episode right here called my wife already
7 things that can ruin your relationship.
Yes. If you know someone else that would benefit from this, I urge you to share this with them. Share this with 2 people, actually, that you think this topic can benefit them. And also, smash that like button. That just lets us know you're there. And also, it just helps us out, Facebook, to spread the word when you see more people liking the video. So, from that, baby.
Yes.
7 things that can ruin a relationship.
7 things. Okay, let's talk about it. Number one, ultimatums.
My way or
the highway.
And this usually comes from the person that is more financial, or brings home maybe more, contributes more financially to the marriage. It seems like they have this.
They feel like they have the upper hand.
Yes, and
I'm good.
And it can leave the other spouse feeling like, okay, well, I'm just a trinket, I'm just...
Or you don't appreciate my contribution because maybe I don't work outside of the house, or maybe I don't contribute as much. Maybe I don't earn as much income, but my value is equal to yours.
Exactly.
In this relationship. And if we go all the way back to headship versus partnership, is it not your responsibility to cover the home?
Wow. Okay.
Now I can do that.
To that video.
I can match you, but that's not the point. The point is not to match you.
Yeah.
If you have children, then it is oftentimes more convenient for the wife to. It is often the most natural thing for the wife to nurture those children.
That's true.
And she can do that whether she is employed, has a career, runs a business, or several, or not. But in general, women take care of the day-to-day things with children. And so anyway, without getting off on a tangent, we just want to make sure that you all understand that though one person may bring in a greater dollar amount to the relationship, it does not make them superior to their spouse.
That's
that
true.
should never be used. And so ultimatums, there can be something else to that. An ultimatum.
It could be like me, so like you having a situation with your sister. I'm having a problem with one of your family members, or your best friend.
It's him or me.
Or whatever, they telling you, I might be acting up and they telling you I'm acting up.
Right.
And I don't like the fact that they telling you, I don't need nobody else on your side, And so it's like me or them, me or your brother, me or your sister, me or your best friend. You're gonna
me or my mama.
Yeah.
Not.
What in the world? Well, you're supposed to leave your mother and father.
Well, I left her. I do believe the Bible said a man shall leave his mother and father.
Okay.
And cleave unto his wife.
That's right.
I think that's what it said on the minister. Yeah, that's what it says. Howsoever,
we're supposed to go together.
We are together.
Okay.
Yes, I prefer you over my mother and my father.
That's right.
Yes,
that's right.
you are my first responsibility.
That's serious in a relationship. How
it is.
They can say that. So one, ultimatums in a relationship is bad. It can ruin it quickly.
Yes, and does it depend on what the issue is? Does it ever depend on what the issue is?
No, ultimatums are just wrong. They are a way to say like, hey, either I'm happy or we're not happy. Nobody's happy.
So that's okay. All right. So what if I say stop cheating on me or I'm gone?
Are you happy?
That's an ultimatum. I'm stirring the pot, y'all. I'm stirring the pot.
Well, you know what?
That is not an option.
If divorce is an option, if divorce is an option, and you say that, then there you go. It's an ultimatum.
Yeah.
And if the relationship is going to end, that's one way to. It's like, I can't live in this place. I cannot live in this relationship. I'm not talking about the ultimatum can be bad for you.
Right.
I'm talking about for the relationship. Ultimatum in a relationship.
You are right.
If he's cheating on you, bruising you, he's wrong. He's caring like he doesn't really care about you. He's acting like he doesn't even care about your feelings. Do what you have to do, man.
We need to we need to reevaluate a little bit And as we've said many times before, we do not condone violence, abuse, or mistreatment. And so, ladies, you do have the right to say you may not. I hope you already know that, but it is not acceptable just because we've come together in this bond of love and marriage doesn't give you a deed of ownership to mistreat. And that goes for ladies too, because ladies sometimes, we don't do right. Yeah.
And so
that's not proper
that was
English,
one, ultimatums in a relationship. Two.
Yes. Number 2 is the absence or loss of respect.
Yes. Now look.
What is respect?
Well, respect is caring and concern about the other person's happiness or feelings, and even their emotional state.
Right.
It's when that is lost, when you don't care how the other person and what you said. Now, we can't make anybody do anything. We can't make anybody feel any way, but you can contribute to the fact that they're feeling sad, they're feeling depressed, they're angry, they're mad. You have to own up to that. Right. And the fact that you are constantly talking about the hairstyle, or talking about the weight, or talking about the dress,
personality,
and the person. Yeah, you always do this. You need to back up from that table. You need to stop eating. I don't care. I'm gonna stay out until late as I want. Just you're not really caring about their feelings and all those things. That's lack of respect. Yeah. And it's also, and I put absent with it because you withdrawing your emotions from the relationship. You have checked out. Kind of, sort of. Respect is, for me, respect is required. And I tell my daughter it's the same thing. If you're in a relationship, it's not optional for you to respect me. That's right. For you to honor who I am as a living, breathing person. That is required. Yeah. And now you have to be careful not to even say, you have to be careful about the treating others the way they would want to be treated, because some people are very passive about the way that they are treated. Yeah. You should treat someone as if, in general, as if you would want someone to treat you, or as someone you would want someone to treat you, yes. But it's very important that we recognize, just because we may have a position of authority, or we may have the upper hand in a situation. When I say the upper hand, a different position, like maybe that spouse is passive and they are not, assertive in their speech, and they don't defend themselves, and that. And if you say something to hurt them or harm them or shame them, they're not going to come back at you. If you know that and you take advantage of it, it's disrespectful. If you do it and they are not that way, then you're going to cause a fight, friction, tension, and that's going to lead to the deterioration of your relationship. And if you disrespect your spouse, you're teaching your children how to behave, how to treat a woman, or how a woman should be treated, how to treat a man, or how a man should be treated. Exactly. So that's number 2, absence or loss of respect, or lack of respect. Yes. That's one of the things that can ruin your relationship really quickly. And and it can ruin it quickly, but sometimes couples can choose to stay in a relationship. Yeah, you can still exist, but it is still the that's why I say deterioration, because it's like it begins to rot. Yeah. It slowly begins to deteriorate. What is it? They do these little studies where a popular fast food restaurant, they put out their burger and their fries to see how long they will last, right? And they look good and fresh on the outside, but if you try to eat one, after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 20 days, they did it was like for weeks. Yeah. It still looked like blast. I got you. Yeah. You never know who's gonna be listening, right? We don't need any cases. But you all know who I'm talking about. But any fast food place, if they're not doing it fresh, and all the preservatives and things that are there, that is
an example of what a marriage can be.
Yeah.
You know, you be looking good on the outside. You're holding up. You're looking fresh. But
we get behind these doors, these closed doors.
Yeah.
Man, like you go to your corner, I go to my corner, and we.
Yes.
Yeah. So
there's nothing good in that.
Yeah, that's number 2. So number 3. And you would think it might be tied to number 2. Number 3 is lack of neglect or sexual intimacy.
Lack of or neglect
of sexual intimacy. Now I didn't couple that with the being absent or loss of respect because they're 2 different things. But from that, a lack of intimacy, and not just talking about sex. I'm not just talking about intercourse. I'm actually talking about the connection. This is
affection,
the affection, the things that we look. If you were say you had some bad news, and you know it just brought you to tears, man or woman. One of the most somebody they can pray for you, they can talk, say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." They can empathize with you, but one of the things I think we really desire in that time is a touch, you know, just a connection.
Yes.
And that's just that can be from anybody else that you love.
Yeah.
But imagine that you can't even get that from your spouse. You know, that's
whoa.
we take it for granted when the thing that we so desire for our spouse to give us to do, when that is withdrawn from us. And then of course, if we can't even get that, we didn't talk about what's happening in the bedroom, because nothing is happening in the bedroom. And I'm not saying that. I know there are some medical issues. I know some things that couples have to deal with. And I urge you to deal with them, to talk to someone if you're having medical issues that can make it painful in those certain situations. Like you say, this what it's just how it is. This my time. It's that season for me, because if you take that away, also I believe that can also make a gulf in the connection.
Oh yeah, and as well, if you require sexual intimacy without emotional intimacy, because many times that happens. One or the other person is just they just want the act, they want the satisfaction of that, but then there's no connection in between.
Yeah.
And I want to.
Or after.
After. Yeah, there's no connection at all. And I want to point out that even though men may not be as, my husband's, one of his love languages is personal touch, physical touch, right? That doesn't mean that he wants me to just hold him all the time. It doesn't mean that. But men like to be touched too. They like to feel like you love them, like you respect them most of all, but also like they're not just a machine or a piece of meat or a producer. It's not the same level as it is for a woman, but still honor and respect your spouse in that way as well. Would you agree with that, baby?
Yeah, I agree with that. And also the fact, physical touch is also the giving. Like someone can say, they can talk a lot, and they can say their words of affirmation. They like to talk, like to edify. Baby, I love you. You look so good, and those things. So same thing with a man. A man can like to touch, his spouse, his wife. He can just. And he's saying that's his language. Like, I love you. Baby, I know I love you. Yeah, I love you. I love you. That's the language,
Right.
And all those things. And sometimes we lose that connection when we avoid those things. It's like, okay, well, I'm tired. I don't really want to, be lovey-dovey, whatever. So, and we go a whole day and we don't touch. We might not even hug, barely speak to each other. So
that can turn into weeks and months and years. And then another thing with the sexual lack of or neglect of sexual intimacy, before we go on, is that it is really important for us to understand that communication, as you talked about in the top of this segment, communicating with one another when you have difficulty with sexual intimacy is really important. Your spouse should be someone that you can talk to, someone that you can share with, that you don't feel like will ridicule you or make you feel bad, or vice versa if there's an issue. Because guess what? You live long enough, some things happen, and you need to understand that everything is not about you, and everything is not about what you want and what you desire. And it was like this when we got married, and this is how it needs to be, and this is what I require. I've heard people say that, actually, that their spouse has that kind of attitude. If you can't give me what I got when I married you, then and it's like, wow, haven't you changed in the last 10, 15, 20 years? And so we have to be just aware of one another and be free enough to talk about whatever might be causing the neglect.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And so that was number 3,
Yes.
lack of or neglect of sexual intimacy. Number 4 is hiding financial problems or even lying about them.
This is a biggie.
Yeah, because you want to handle the bills, you want to prove you're the men, and you don't want to really let your spouse know, let your wife know how much in the red we really are. Like how much we really, not so much we live in check to check, we live in check to credit card. We're not, there's so many things that's going on, but we're not sharing that issue with our spouse. So our spouse thinks everything's all right and everything's okay. But I guarantee you, if you want to work through that issue, the first step is actually uncovering the issue, putting it on the table.
Be honest. Yeah. Because what's at the root of that? 2 things. And maybe 1 thing. Fear. And out of that fear is pride. That pride is like, let me cover myself because I'm supposed to be this, that, or the other thing. Or I want to appear as if, or I feel bad that I'm not able to cover and carry and take care of. And that's assuming that sometimes both people handle the bills. Sometimes one person, they'll put money in one account and then one person handles the bills. And so you don't see them as long as they're getting taken care of. You think, everything is fine. But when you don't tell your spouse what's going on, number 1, they can't help you. Number 2, you put them in a bad situation. And then if you talk about the finances, that affects the credit affects the relationship.
Yeah.
And you don't want to sign someone else up for something that they don't know they're, participating in. Don't tell me when you get the knock on the door that, by the way,
I forgot to pay the light bill. I couldn't pay the light bill, and and
they come pick up the car, and you like, what?
It's not to say that you can't do what you have to do. It's sometimes you have to be very creative with your finances to make it past the season that you're in.
Right.
But just being open and honest about it, I guarantee you would help you get past it with not a heavy burden on your shoulders or feeling guilty. It's like, baby, we know what we got going on, but we're going to make it through this as long as I got you by my side.
Yeah. 2 heads are better than 1. Maybe your wife is your helpmeet, right? And so many times, though we do believe in what the book of Ephesians says about marriage and the role and responsibility of the man and the woman in a marriage, the woman is the helpmeet. And so many times your wife can give you an opinion or a different way of looking at things that maybe you hadn't thought about before, and vice versa. So when you hide it, when you cover it, then you really put yourself at a disadvantage. And that goes for the woman too.
Yeah.
It goes both
women
ways.
are very creative. Very creative with money. I know. I told you my wife could stretch $1. You hear me?
Well.
All right, so that's moving on. So that's 4. That was 4, hiding financial problems or lying about them. And number 5 is avoiding difficult situations. And we talked about this in previous video, where when you don't disclose and you don't want to talk about it, whatever it is that you fear can cause an argument, like the hard issue, the thing that I know this can be a touchy situation, a touchy subject to broach, so I don't want to talk about it. I'm just gonna go wash the car or whatever. And so when you avoid those situations, once again, you're withdrawing yourself. You're almost like you're checking out.
Yes. And we have to remember that we are one. So if I'm walking and all of a sudden I feel dead weight on my right arm, I'm like, oh, what's going on? If you are in a relationship, believe it or not, now they talk about women's intuition, but sometimes men are attentive and they can figure out something's not quite right. You know, when they're not concentrating on something else, because you tend to be more task oriented than women are. We're more multitaskers, and you feel that shift, you feel that change. So even if you don't tell me, it's like walking into a room and someone's been talking about you and you don't have any physical sign of it, but you know. This something is not, I don't feel welcome or comfortable here. And it's the same thing with your spouse. So just put it out there. Let them know what's going on so that they don't have to guess. And also in avoiding difficult situations, that means when, you know, if you don't want to talk about it, that's one thing. But remember that if you don't, it's going to come back up.
It's going to come back up. So,
in the form of another argument. Or separation, or divorce, a lack of intimacy. You know, all these things we talked about up till now.
Yes. Thank you so much. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Rose.
Hello, everyone.
Doing today? Thank y'all so much for hanging out with us and sharing. Oh, y'all are always so gracious. Appreciate y'all. So on to number 6. Number 6 is we tend to criticize one another. Now all these things can lead to a criticism of the way we handle the finances, the way that you don't hug me, don't kiss me anymore, you know, the way that we don't the way you talk to me, I don't, you know, you talk so like you my daddy or whatever, you know, just all
or
those
my
things
mom.
are, and you don't respect all those things, and then we criticize. You always do this,
or you never do that. Why can't you be more like, ooh, don't do that.
Yeah, that can lead to...
Don't do that.
That can hurt your relationship dramatically and very quickly. And I say that because even though it happens and people still just choose to stay together, I believe that your relationship is just growing. If it's you stand together just because you're together, I believe you're just floating. If that's the word I'm trying to think about. Drifting, maybe that's what I want to say. You're drifting apart. You know, if you keep down this road right here, unless you intentionally reconnect with one another,
right? You won't.
Yeah.
You have to make an effort, and I'm here is not good enough. Well, I'm still here.
I ain't left. Still here, ain't I?
Well, no.
What you doing?
Physically you're here.
Good on you.
But emotionally, mentally, you're not. If you're having any of these issues that we've talked about thus far, it is extremely important to not let them fester.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So look, the last one that we have is you always striving to be right. You want to get the last word in, you know, and you want to nitpick. Oh no, you said car, but I drove the truck. No. Let me get this right. You said I drove the car, but I didn't. You're wrong.
And then you argue about that for 15 minutes. And it's like, you just really trying to avoid the fact that I was right about you was somewhere.
But you left the house.
Right. Infuriating. Can we just talk about what we're talking about? You left the house. You didn't tell me where you were going, and you're just coming back 16 hours later. Yeah. You left here on 4 wheels, and you came back on 4 wheels, or 2, unless you got a unicycle, you know.
That's a 1 wheel.
People do. Okay. But yeah, it's not about that. If you always want to be right, then you will always put up blocks and barriers to resolving issues, because you don't want them to see when you're wrong, and you're bent on telling them how they're wrong. And guess what? Sometimes both of you are wrong.
Yeah. Wow, baby. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You are not always right. I don't know anybody who is always right, except my Lord and Savior.
I love what you always say, because I always bring it up.
It's not about
who's right. It's about what's right. So you know what? Maybe you have a point and your spouse has a point, and let's put those together, and let's see how we can move past this point, and get back to the connection, get back to connecting with one another, because let's not let this be a wedge.
And what is it that you like to say about the best way to avoid offense is to do what?
Is to take the defense off the field. The best way to stop being offensive is to take the defense off the field. Stop. It's not
a competition.
It was an analogy when somebody told me about when somebody trying to score and somebody trying to get in the goal line, but it's hard for them to get to the touchdown because the defense is always countering. You know, they're gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. They're gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. But you know what? The easiest way for that other team to score, what is the defense to just say, you know what? We're just gonna back up and let you score. We're just gonna let you win. Let's win the game. The best way to not be offensive about certain situations, because you can be like, well, he said it this way and you said it that way, and I don't like the way you said it, and so now I'm going to do this, and we're just both bumping heads.
Right. And maybe both of you did something, maybe one of you did something, maybe it wasn't intentional what either one of you did, but one of our mentors said something to me one time when I called her and I had a valid point that I wanted to share about how frustrated I was. And she said, you know, offense is a choice. And I was like, ooh, yeah. Yeah. She burnt my beans that day, and she was real sweet about it. She just said, you know, just like that, you know, offense is a choice. And I was like,
wow.
Hey.
That right there, we don't take anything else from this conversation.
That put it in focus.
Yes, that put a whole frame around it so you can see it clearly.
Can I give an analogy of seeing it clearly? You know how you go to the eye doctor, you know, we're a 4-eye family here. But when they put up the screen, they say, which one is clearer, this one or this one? Yeah. This one or this one? Was it my perspective? Or was it her perspective? That day, it was her perspective. It was crystal clear. I was like, okay, let me get myself together. And from then on, I have always looked at it like, you know what? You might be right. And maybe it needs to be addressed, but not in anger and not in frustration and not in pride.
Yeah, and you know, and to carry that on, because I've been wearing glasses all my life. I think I got baby pictures with glasses on.
You do.
I'm not.
Bless your heart, baby. You do.
But you know, even when you think you get to a letter, you're like, well, that's clear. I think that's it right there. And then he puts another lens on, and it gets even clearer. And so the goal is actually the best vision that you can, so you can see better and do the things that you want to do. So in this relationship, it's all about, you know, let's get some clarity of what we want to do, how we want to interact as a couple, and let's live our best life now.
Together, we're a team. We talked about, and when we first started sharing our testimonies and videos with you, how, you know, it's like we're in the sandbox, we're drawing lines in the sand. Instead, we should be building a castle. You know, that's what kids like to do. They like to get together and build when they're at the beach or whatever, or playing in the backyard. And what does it look like for us to have this bond together, to say yes for, you know, however long we live, you know, in holy matrimony, better or worse, sickness or in health, rich or poor, and then we spend our time drawing a line in the sand. I'm gonna go on this side and you go on that side. Whenever we get mad, it's like, what a waste of time, what a waste of love, what a waste of energy, what a waste of effort, what a waste of ideas, and what a waste of intimacy. You know, when we just decide because we get prideful or fearful or angry, or, you know, we don't want to admit when we're wrong. You just decide, well, I forfeit this time. I forfeit this time for love. I don't need to love in this moment. I don't need to be connected to you in this moment. How sad is that? We did that for so long.
So that's why I started the video off. Then I was excited. And you're like, well, we're talking about 7 things that can ruin a marriage. Because I was excited because I believe once you get this, it can help you and help your marriage so much. Because the key to a successful marriage is fighting focusing on the connection between each other. Not fighting the correction. Not fighting what can help you. Every step that we know, I want to get couples counseling. No. Okay, I want to go on date. Like, no.
I want to try something different. No.
I want to sit down and talk, have a safe space where we can talk. No. So instead of fighting correction, let's focus on connection.
Yes.
Amen.
That's good, babe.
Amen.
That's good.
Amen.
We thank you for joining us tonight. Again, if you haven't already, please share this video with at least 2 other people. They may or may not need it. They may pass it on to someone else. They may post it and it may be seen, or heard later in a blog or a video. Someone is always getting married and someone is always getting divorced.
Oh, wow.
And there's always someone in between. And so that's one of the reasons why we take the time to share what we have learned about life, about love, and about relationship. And we hope that you've heard something that has blessed you tonight. Until next time, we pray that the Lord bless you, keep you, make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you, and give you peace. And we'll see you here again on Couples Pursuit Live.
Bye.